Tang Baihu abruptly stopped them, telling them both that they were insane and asking them if they didn't recognize him. Zion and his companion came to an abrupt halt. His other companion yelled at him, saying that they had arrived at Qingxi town and that he was already at the pinnacle of martial arts. And how can he be in the martial emperor mid-stage? Tang Baihu smiled and unleashed something with a yellow aura. Both Zion and his companion sprang back swiftly, gritting their teeth in wrath. Tang Baihu instructed them to open their eyes and see as he showed them Chan's calligraphy, and Zion was surprised to recognize Chan's writing. He inquired as to whether he had met Chan. Zion's buddy informed him that Zion had not told him about the expert, and it seems that brother Tang has already met him. Tang Baihu agreed and said that Chan had given him this text as a present. Zion informed him that the expert had given him this treasure, which must have a deeper significance. Oh no, it seems that another profound meaning and misunderstanding has occurred. Zion's friend informed him Zion had known the expert for a long time and had accomplished various projects with him, so he must be correct, he said seriously. Zion said that the poem's frequent allusions to peach trees might indicate that he is hunting for peach trees. He informed him that the expert hailed from an ancient prohibited area on Earth, and that the only peach trees in the Holy Land were from Jasper Lake. Tang Baihu rushes to fetch the peach tree, and he informs Zion that he must travel to the central regions. I will not only collect the peach trees, but I will also kidnap a saintess to wash shorts for the expert, he said. Both Zion and his companion believed this person was completely insane. Within the courtyard, someone used teleportation entered Chan's courtyard. I'm finally here, grinned the person who had just transported there. This is the Poison King. Xiaoqi requested, eagerly, whether she might study embroidery and sewing in addition to qin, chess, and calligraphy. Chan agreed to tell her it wasn't an issue, but that the main aim was to learn how to write first. Xiaoqi praised her brother and promised to study well. While Chan and Xiuqi were conversing, the Poison King was spying on them from the bushes, and he was shocked to see a mortal. He next examined Xiuqi, and he looked at her hair, which was accessory lower emperor grade, and he was shocked that Xiuqi has emperor grade clothes. Suddenly, something arrived, and Chan was surprised to see it, and the Poison King told him that today was a fortunate day, and he didn't mind taking those treasures. Chan shielded Xiaoqi and cried loudly at whomever sprinkled the insect repellent powder. He waved his palm, and the insect repellent powder was blown back to the Poison King, whose eyes bulged in surprise. He shouted in his head that this was not good, and he was attacked with the devouring spirit powder, which caused him to lose his human form and turn back into a frog or toad. After the Poison King changed, he froze in fear, realizing that Chan isn't immortal. He's a powerhouse like the insane bastard, he said, as he was talking about someone else, and Deshan emerged with a weird smirk on his face, and he told him that he attempted to kill Master, and now he's attempting to flee? Chan heard the frog croak and Deshan, and Xiaoqi heard what he was actually saying as he implored them not to kill him. Chan then inquired as to where he had discovered such a gigantic four-eyed frog. The frog yelled at him, telling him that he was the four-eyed frog, that his whole family was the eyes, and that he was certainly a blue-green frog. And Xiaoqi was speechless looking at the frog. Four eyes means someone wearing glasses, with their eyes popping out like a frog's. Xiuqi began to smile darkly and informed her brother that she wanted to eat a frog. She begged Chan nicely if they might bring it and stew it, and her look told it all. Chan agreed. The frog shrieked in fear. Elder Zhang was healed and sneaking around again, while the demon Chan is not present. I need to get out of here fast, he told himself. While he was thinking to himself, Xiaowu approached, informing him that Chan had yet to come and that he was preparing to depart without saying goodbye. Elder Zhang simply screamed in surprise. Elder Zhang responded, explaining that she and Chan are together, and why he would remain here and be tormented more. He inquired. Xiaowu wasn't sure what he meant by torture. She informed him, furious, that he should feel honored, and she pointed at Elder Zhang, and a yellow aura wrapped his whole body, and he was surprised as he felt his strength expand, and Elder Zhang was startled that he is breaking through to the god physique. Xiaowu told him that he had trespassed to the unnamed summit and that Chan was still eager to assist him in breaking through. You don't know how to be appreciative, but you also speak rudely. If you want to go, tell Chan yourself. She snarled. And Elder Zhang looked down regretfully, realizing that the torture was intended to shatter his bones so that they might be remade. I'm embarrassed, the elderly guy thought to himself, knowing that he had cultivated for so many years and yet couldn't conceive of such techniques of destroying and reconstructing. And at that time, Chan came, informing Xiaowu that he was back and greeting her with a bright smile. Chan took the bucket off his back, relieved that he had recovered, and asked the elderly man whether he recalled who he was. Elder Zhang responded that he was first perplexed, and he asked Chan to forgive him. To show his appreciation, he will continue to work here, he said. Chan agreed, telling him that he recalled he enjoyed alcohol and that he would let him run the business. Chan was relieved that with the help of the hidden expert Lake Elder Zhang, this was a rarely opportunity. Elder Zhang turned around and told Chan that he will go to work now. Chan stopped him, telling him not to push it since the brewery is still under construction and there aren't many workers. The old man wondered whether Chan wanted him to recruit subordinates. The old man asked him whether he was okay with him handling the recruitment. Chan responded, saying that, of course, he would feel comfortable, but that recruiting isn't as crucial right now. While Chan was talking, the frog slowly opened his eyes and gazed at him. Chan informed him that since he is recuperating from a major illness, he would boil the frog to aid his body's recovery. Elder Zhang was astounded to learn that the Poison King was the blue-green frog. Shichi smiled as he showed the old man the frog. Elder Zhang spoke in another language, with a malicious smirk on his face, saying, "Poison thing, long time no see." The frog mocked him, calling him a crazy bastard. And he wondered whether this individual was as insane as that mad bastard. The frog is still taken aback by the fact that he is an expert. Xiaowu informed Chan that she had forgotten to purchase insect repellent powder. Chan simply informed her that when she addressed it, it made him angry and told her that an unknown individual had just smeared insect repellent powder all over him. The frog suddenly rushed at Chan, informing him in his own language that he didn't need insect repellent powder. He had insect repellent powder on hand, and how much does he require? The fact that it spewed powder disgusted Elder Zhang and Xiaoqi. As he discharged his insect repellent powder, he screamed for him to taste his distinctive fragrant powder. Chan was amazed that the Shenwu continent possessed such marvelous animals, and he had no idea the frog could take in and expel aromatic powder. Xiaowu flushed slightly when she informed him that they were going to run out of insect repellent powder, and suggested that they preserve it. Chan agreed, telling her that he would listen to her, as he had a nosebleed. Chan told her he has something to ask her as well. They began to come closer to each other, and Chan told her that Elder Zhang was being pursued by enemies 2 days ago, and he spotted a number of fresh faces in Qingxi town today. And he asked her if she could help him. But don't force yourself, remember you're the most important, Chan told her. Xiaowu said that she understood and would descend the mountain. She flushed as she realized she was the most important person to him. Elder Zhang and Xiaoqi were both taken aback. Xiaoqi was so engrossed that she didn't realize she was suffocating the unfortunate frog. Meanwhile, the man behind the old man informed him that the total sword energy originated from the unnamed mountain outside of town. And the elderly guy answered quite nicely, saying confidently, "We will immediately head to the peak." Both ladies spotted people traveling to the mountain summit and talked to the other woman, alerting her that members from the sword sect were headed to where the sword energy radiated. The second lady told her that she discovered a mortal named Chan Fan living on the nameless peak. Her sister yelled that they needed to hurry because they couldn't allow them to get there first, and that they needed to locate the god's sword and return to the sect, she remarked. And they began to fly as well. The old man and his group flew to the unnamed mountain summit, believing they would get the god's sword. In the bottom of the nameless peak, Xiaowu was concentrating, and little yellow lights could be seen around the surroundings as a consequence of her power. She opened her eyes, and her eyes shone with power. The sword sect and both sisters arrived at the mountain's top, and they all assumed that this was the location. And Xiaowu assumed that these were the opponents Chan was referring to. I wonder what would happen to them. Xiaowu yelled furiously, saying disrespectful beings that dare cause ruckus on such sacred grounds will die. She said both the elderly guy and the senior sister were taken aback, and she began to gradually relinquish her power. She let go of her small bit of her power and ordered them to kneel. Everyone was stunned by her aura, and the sword sect's weak members couldn't bear it. Senior sister recommended to the elderly man that they temporarily join forces to murder that girl. The old man consented and told her once they arrived, "It's free for all on the god sword." Xiaowu released her weapons and said that she would not blaspheme an expert. After she let go of both weapons, it charged them, and she calmly yelled, "Die!" All of them perished, and some screamed as their heads were severed, while others screamed as their bodies were severed. Now, I will confess that the killing is not as terrible as I expected, since the heads are severed, but this is nothing compared to the other murders that Xiaowu has performed. After all, if they were going to be that nasty, they wouldn't even display the artwork. While Xuanwu saw Chan curving something, he was unaware that he was using his ability to bend whatever he was curving. Xiaowu was simply standing there admiring Chan, thinking to herself that Mr. Chan, while making such hard labor noises, is full of Dao charm. With a dreamy smile, she said. She then was teleported to another dimension while she was dreaming, and she was astounded by what she saw. She was astounded to learn that this is the barrier of the hidden world, and that individuals gifted enough to enter the secret realm are 1 in a billion, and she had never imagined encountering such a chance. She was taken aback and amazed as a large door with a light on the other side opened for her. She became delighted, thinking that if she could only push this door open, she could. Chan immediately stopped her thoughts before she could complete them, and she returned to this world and asked her if she was okay and what happened. Chan inquired as he saw Xiaowu standing still. After a second, Xiaowu responded, informing him that his assumption was correct and that there were adversaries of Elder Zhang at the foot of the mountain. She remarked, uncomfortably smiling, "I had already made them retreat," she said. Chan assured her that it was excellent that everything was settled. And Xiaowu inquired, "What are you curving?" Chan answered, instructing her to come with him and that she would know when she arrived. While she seems to be okay on the surface, she is secretly sobbing on the inside, wishing Chan could curve a little longer. At the peak path at dusk, everyone greeted. The leader and Mr. Chan stood in front of them, saying, "First and foremost, thank you for coming. I have called everyone here to announce a major event," he added. Chan informed them that during those periods, he thoroughly examined everyone's specialization and demeanor, and he chose to assign everyone to their responsibilities, he stated while pretending to speak into a microphone for some unclear reason. First, Yi Jinghong was promoted to agriculture head, and Qin Potion was promoted to transportation captain. Sun Wufang was promoted to Sun Clan marketing mister, and De Zhuang was promoted to financial director. Mei was promoted to textile mill director, and Yin Shui was promoted to logistics director, and everyone was shocked at their new positions. I'm honestly astonished that the third princess isn't present. Anyway, De Zhuang shyly grinned and informed his employer that he understood what the agricultural department did, but what does the finance director do? Chan explained that the finance director oversaw funds. Therefore, when everyone required money, it was all up to him, he said smiling. And Yi Jinghong smiled, pleased that their master had given them job titles. Does it indicate he thinks of us as earthlings? He wondered. Chan informed them of another significant development. He had chosen to launch his own brand. Chan proceeded to assure them that the brand would be unveiled by Xiaowu and him, and he grasped Xiaowu's hand, which surprised her. They began to expose the stone that Chan was shaping. When it was completely unveiled, several fabled spirits arrived, shocking Xiaowu. While she was stunned, Qin Potion and Yi Jinghong also read that this is the Earth Village and were equally stunned. Chan informed them that the farm would be known as Earth Village starting today. Earth Village is their brand name, they said loudly. Chan smiled and said, "Not bad, right? Our corporate culture is to work hard and even harder to build Earth's wonders," he stated. Then they were all moved to a location where they could view the whole Earth, and Yi Jinghong marveled that this was the Forbidden City Earth. Qin Potion was amazed that there is such a strong aura, and he assumed that the Earth has a plethora of professionals like the Master. The Elder Tree said, "Magnificent, unrivaled spirit, as expected of Earth, no wonder I couldn't find it despite spending my entire life searching." And the Dragon Vine, in a new and odd shape, questioned him whether he was the sole emperor who survived the latter years of ancient times. The Older Tree revealed that the only thing he remembered was watching the water flow endlessly in the Yellow River as he dropped from heaven. He went on to add that the weather was lovely and that there was a big land field with rivers and mountains where gods and creatures lurk. And he did receive a peek of Earth, but it pales in comparison to what the Master has given us today, Yi Jinghong informed them. Even at this distance, he could sense the Earth's dreadful strength. According to the Elder Tree, that's definitely where the immortals reside. He stated. Xiaowu and the others applauded Chan's cleverness. Chan felt bound, proud of himself for believing that pyramid marketing is actually relevant in any historical period. I can't believe Chan established a pyramid scheme and is proud of it, but I won't lie. If I were in the same circumstances, I would have done the same. Anyway, Chan cleared his throat and thanked everyone for their cheers and support. We must tackle new chances, difficulties, and missions as a new brand. We now have 2 clear targets to achieve, he said. He proceeded to tell them that the issue with their manpower is that there are simply too few of them, and Chan instructed Qin Potion to prepare to go south as soon as possible and begin recruiting people. Qin Potion was overjoyed that he had finally received an instruction from his master. Chan then orders Sun Wufang to go locate a store and a restaurant to negotiate long-term partnership since their farm's productivity is amazing. Sun Wufang was also excited, declaring, "It shall be done!" Chan applauded, telling everyone to collaborate and expand and strengthen their brand. Everyone applauded, and they all assumed he intended to grow and make the Earth Village stronger. They all assumed he wanted to acquire more lands and increase his army and community. Meanwhile, a servant entered a beautiful room and informed the Empress that the troops dispatched to Qingxi town had all been murdered. She said that not a single person survived. The servant informed her that the final secret letter had been delivered to them, and she handed the letter to the Empress, and the Empress spoke up, stating that even they couldn't escape undamaged. Are those people really strong? She wondered to herself. The Empress examined the secret letter and said that based on the testimonials of the neighboring families, they can be certain that the sword she released by the unnamed mountain is genuine. She quickly realizes that the unnamed mountain is home to just one mortal man, and that is Chan Fan. She said, "This was Empress Jiang Ayahan." And she grinned, thinking to herself, "You succeeded in capturing my attention," she said. Someone suddenly smashed into the palace. This individual then said, "Old Emperor, your grandfather has arrived. Why don't you come out and greet him on your knees?" And this person was Qin Potion as he released the kitchen knife that he had taken from Chan, and the soldier yelled to the brave maniac that insulting His Majesty was inviting death. Qin Potion murmured that he was just an early-stage emperor or spirit. Qin Potion then yelled at the soldier not to humiliate himself here, and he attacked, defeating the soldier before he could do anything. The soldier was astounded to see that the weapon in the hands of the lunatic man was a top emperor-grade weapon. Qin Potion spoke seriously, informing them that he had visited numerous first-class sects, and was informed that specialists above the martial king realm were recruited into the palace by them. Qin Potion told them that this has been an issue for him due to his inability to recruit people. While he was speaking, someone softly landed on the ground, and Qin Potion turned to see who it was. Other individuals landed on the ground, and Qin Potion was startled that they had so many Martial King realm experts. I questioned the old man if he felt he could accomplish everything he wanted in Dian's royal court just by relying on a high-grade Emperor weapon. Qin Potion stared at him, informing him that if he tried to take him down with merely his numerous people, he'd find it much too difficult. Wait a minute, Qin Potion murmured, battered and wounded, half an hour later. This isn't working out. And he wondered whether they weren't going too far, as they were posing in triumph, like other martial artists. The old man said that he didn't even know the might of the Dian dynasty, and still dared to come and cause problems. But I must admit that your IQ is quite moving, he continued. The old man then asked him who had instructed him to come here. He told him that if he spoke the truth, he may be able to save his life. Qin Potion responded, informing him who had called him. He is afraid that the answer will kill him. He then informed the emperor that he recommended him to release him immediately, and then apologized to me. Otherwise, you must accept the consequences, he said, the elderly monarch said. Good. Then I'll give you an opportunity to take him down and properly serve him. But before anything could happen, the old monarch was commanded to wait. The elderly emperor immediately turned around and bowed, informing Zhang that this guy not only entered the imperial palace without permission but also made impolite comments, and he requested him to deal with him. But Elder Zhang did not listen since he was shocked to find Qin Potion here, as was Qin Potion. In disbelief, Qin Potion yelled to Dranken Zhang. What are you doing here? Elder Zhang was also taken aback, but he inquired as to how he had ended up beaten like this. The ancient emperor was stunned, unsure what was going on or whether they knew each other. Qin Potion was irritated and surprised that the emperor had summoned all of the country's greatest specialists, and it was the one who was one step ahead. He complained, claiming that he had begun a fight without realizing it was against a friend. The old emperor laughed and informed Qin Potion that older Zhang had uttered many repulsive things. Please do not take offense, he said. He went on to say that he will have the imperial doctor check him for any injuries. Qin Potion pushed him hard while yelling at him not to touch him, and he told him that is fine. The elderly monarch became concerned and said that everything was a mistake, and that he had no idea it was Elder Sheng's friend. He would never have dared to treat him this way if he didn't have 10 guts. Qin Potion glanced at Elder Zhang, still irritated, informing him that it seemed that he had failed to complete the work entrusted to him by a higher authority. He inquired whether it was satisfying. Elder Zhang did not respond as he posed his own inquiry, asking whether he wanted him to assist him. Qin Potion said no, and he could do the assignment on his own. Hearing this, both of the males in the room were taken aback. Qin Potion reasoned that because Dian had already been sued by Elder Zhang, he should proceed to the nearby area and grab a few masters in a jail cell from the Dai dynasty. Qin Potion was thrashed and injured much more when he inquired whether the Dai dynasty's empress was there. Qin Potion attempted to untie the rope but couldn't, and the empress advised him not to bother trying since he couldn't untie the rope with his cultivation level. Start talking about who sent you. What is your goal? She asked aggressively. The old man yawned and informed her that she probably put numerous spies in the Dian dynasty. He stated Qin Potion went on to inform her that Ouyang Hongfeng had assembled all specialists above the Martial King realm in Dian, and then vanished. The empress inquired if he had any inside knowledge. He responded, giving her the truth about being picked to leave Earth Village and serve the High Ones. And he informed her that if she stayed late, Dian would control the future structure of the 3 Eastern Kingdoms. The Empress spoke up, stating that based on everything, I should trust you, that it was Ouyang Hongfeng who brought you here to assemble my nation's masters to capture them all in one single sweep. Earth Village? She wondered to herself as she said. That's an odd name. Qin Potion said that the extraordinary sword energy some time ago. I'm pretty sure you have seen it, he said, that was emitted by the higher ones in the Earth Village. The Empress was stunned when she heard this. She was amazed that he was talking about Chan. She assumed that the great sword energy was made by him. She rose up and accepted, and Qin Potion was surprised at how quickly she agreed. The Empress smiled and informed him she would accompany him to see the Earth Village. But if even half of what he stated is a lie, he will be charged with misleading a ruler, and you know what would happen, right? She made a threat. Chan explained to Xiaoqi that practicing calligraphy is similar to mental training, and she would only be able to write horizontally and vertically if she moves her pen. With a calm and impartial mind, you should also hold your pencil properly, he said. Xiaoqi was speechless as she told her brother that she recalled. He was amazed to see Xiaowu exercising with the sword when Chan turned around, and moving quickly and precisely. She huffed and inquired of the expert if he had finished teaching. Chan said, yes. He then asked to borrow her sword to examine it. Of course he can, Xiaowu said. Chan informed her that watching a martial artist's weapon up close may provide him with inspiration and help him enhance his casting talents. He extended his hand to receive the sword. While he was evaluating the sword, Xiaowu thought to herself that because she received Mr. Chan's will, she no longer needed to wield the sword, and she tempered it into a top weapon so it wouldn't be a waste of the sword root. Chan is surprised that this seems to be an ordinary sword in terms of workmanship, and that it is not as nice as the ones I cast, he stated. Chan then asked Xiaowu whether she used the sword she typically used to neutralize foes to kill them. Is this the one? She agreed that this was the one, and she inquired, concerned, whether there was an issue. Chan smiled pleasantly and informed her that there was no issue, that it was most likely only his imagination, and that this was very excellent. So yeah, really fantastic. He apologized for interfering with her sword training and returned the sword to her. Xiaowu told him he was exaggerating. Does this sword's fortune match mine? She inquired. But she came to a halt when the sword shattered, and Chan was stunned, wondering whether he had broken the sword. Xiaowu was stunned and grieved, and she wondered why Chan would wish to smash her sword. She wondered whether it was because she had made a mistake. She began to weep, and he realized he was screwed as he yelled to himself that he is done for. Why does Xiaowu seem so unhappy, he wondered. Chan softly took her hand in his and quickly headed to somewhere, ordering Xiaowu to accompany him. In the waiting area, Chan realized that this blade had been gifted to him because of his lovely passion for the realm of martial arts. But since he didn't have any talent for cultivation, he merely gave it to Xiaowu like that necklace. Chan advised her to accept it since he had broken her sword and would give it to her. Xiaowu informed him that this was too precious for her to accept. Chan then reminded her that what is his is hers and that there is nothing she can't accept even if she doesn't like it. And she took the sword. Xiaoqi peered in the door and informed her brother that he's so sweet to Sister Xiaowu, and asked if she will get a young nephew or niece soon, she inquired. Xiaowu turned around, blushing, and told Xiaoqi not to say nonsense. Xiaoqi merely laughed, and Chan tried to stop her, but she ran away before he could. Xiaowu walked to her residence and stared intently at the blade. She unsheathed the blade, and a tremendous aura surrounded it, widening her eyes. She was startled that all of the power contained in Chan's forged magical weapon is being absorbed by her, and when the green sword collided with the new blue one, Xiaowu was taken aback. Suddenly, she closed her eyes, and after a few seconds, she carefully opened them again to acclimate to the atmosphere, and she was surprised at what she saw in front of her. This was Sacred Realm gates, and she was astonished when the gates slowly opened for her. She stepped inside and witnessed something stunning, but no one knew what. Chan was working when he suddenly began to sing. While he wasn't looking, sparks of lightning began to emanate around Chan's body, and he didn't see them in the sky because he closed his eyes. The older tree was taken aback since he had not anticipated the 6th Dao global calamity. The dragon vine was stunned because he knew that no one had ever broken through the holy realm and attracted the stories of the most horrific calamity in the previous 1,000 years. And Yi Jinghong raised his head and murmured, "Xiaowu, you must be safe. I first assumed Chan summoned this world, but it was Xiaowu who accomplished it in some way when she opened the mystery gate." Chan glanced up, surprised, and wondered why the sky had suddenly changed. And he groaned, adding, "This weather is really strange." Yi Jinghong fell to his knees in horror as the hidden world vanished as a result of a sentence from Chan. Master's methods are heaven and earth beyond the path of heavens. Yi Jinghong pondered. Chan murmured that he was going to bed. Qin Potion greeted Elder Zhang, and after greeting Qin Potion, he inquired as to why he had only brought 2. Qin Potion told him how he witnessed a calamity appear last night, who caused it. He asked, and not only that, the calamity only lasted for about short while, why did it disappear all of a sudden? He asked. Elder Zhang revealed that it was the 6th Dao world disaster that Xiaowu attracted, and it vanished when Master commanded it change sky, and it vanished. He went on to say that it was meant to be a tight escape, but since Xiaowu was not hit by lightning, she is now an expert in the sacred realm. The Empress was shocked, wondering how, because the calamity could be completed by the person, as is the law of heavens. Elder Zhang gazed at her passively and said, "This demonstrates that the Master's realm is already stronger than the way of heavens." He asked her if she did notice an increase in the spiritual energy between heaven and earth. Elder Zhang stroked his beard and said that during the ancient struggle that harmed the heavens, the Xinwu continent was suppressed by the Great Tao and was unable to reach the ultimate stage. The Great Tao repression was lifted with a phrase from Master, allowing the spiritual vitality of the Xinwu continent to regenerate. The Empress was taken aback by the fact that she had just seen Earth's greatest splendor, and questioned why Chan had come to the Xinwu continent, and whether he was actually from the sacred land. And she assumed Chan desired for everyone on the Xinwu continent to become an emperor. She smiled and thought to herself that with that kind of vision, he is worth being her type. Qin Potion attempted to stop her, saying she couldn't go in that way. Chan was talking to Elder Zhang and telling him to eat some pears and relax, but he couldn't see where he was going while he was talking. And he bumped into the Empress. She was stunned, and she reacted aggressively. After everything had calmed down, Chan inquired of the Empress as to who she could be searching for. The Empress gracefully said, "My humble self is here for Mr. Chan." The Master was taken aback. He introduced himself as Chan and inquired as to why Her Majesty was seeking for him. Chan was taken aback since he hadn't expected her to be the Empress, and he surmised that she had heard about his exploits in Xingxi town and wanted to welcome him down of the mountain. She was surprised, believing he was still playing, but he's an intriguing guy, so I'd play along with him, she added. She was even more perplexed when Chan addressed her as an empress, and she wondered what made him say so. So she asked him. Chan was astounded when he informed her that she had just stated, "My humble self is here for Chan." My humble self is frequently uttered by royalty when these phrases are spoken. The Empress informed him that he had misheard her as Zheng'er. Her full name is Jian Ayahan, and her nickname is Zheng'er. She went on to inform him that she heard the nameless Peak was recruiting, so she brought her cousin with her to work, and that if he isn't interested, she and his cousin are prepared to execute his commands. Her cousin bowed respectfully, and he agreed. Chan laughed and told the Empress that she must be fatigued after traveling so far. Why don't you relax for a night in the home and speak about business tomorrow? The Empress expressed gratitude for his time. Chan smiled to himself, thinking that if this were Earth, posing as a servant to locate brilliant individuals would be another story like the 3 humble visits to that cottage. Qin Potion informed Elder Zhang as they walked away that he feared he was dead, as he didn't anticipate the expert to be furious, but he greeted the Empress. With a smile, he explained. Elder Zhang asked if it is feasible that the expert has an overbearing personality. One of the random workers informed both the old man and the expert that Shun'er had a divine physique as well as the frozen saint physique, which is excellent for dual cultivation, and the person speculated that the expert probably liked it. Elder Zhang and Qin Potion were both surprised hearing this, and both the elderly men envisioned their master and the Empress conducting dual cultivation, with the Empress yelling, "Chan, release your power into my body!" Xiaowu's eyes gleamed in rage, and Elder Zhang asked if that is why the expert wanted to do dual cultivation with the Empress and why he accepted her being so arrogant. He stated, when the random worker spotted Xiaowu's furious expression, he became scared. Qin Potion inquired about Xiaowu. When Xiaowu grabbed one of the tree vines tightly, the old tree shouted out, "Great mistress, I'm innocent," he said in fear. In the martial arts guild someone said, "The guild master, you're here." He informed the guild leader that they had discovered a large leak today. The guild master, dressed in a blue kimono, said, "Who said they have a lot of treasures?" Lin Chuxing was the guild master. The second man who met him said the person's name is Sun Wufeng. He's now in the private room. He stated. Jin Hong was the vice guild master. When the guild master opened the door, he found Sun Wufeng getting ready to eat. "It's nice to meet you, Taoist son." The guild master chuckled cheerfully. Sun Wufeng said to him, "You must be the guild master, right?" And he recommended that they all eat together. The guild master told him that he had heard that the Taoist son had numerous 7th grade spiritual plants on hand, which he wanted to sell. "Could you show me?" With a smile, he inquired. The old man answered, saying that if he genuinely needs 7th grade spiritual medicines, I don't have any. When the elderly man began to eat, the guild master became irritated and informed him that he had plenty of 9th grade spiritual plants. Sun Wufeng questioned him whether he meant to indicate that 9th grade spiritual herbs aren't as valuable as 7th grade spiritual herbs. The guild master's fury began to build, and he became more enraged with every instant and every word the old man uttered. He told him that he was speaking about him, and that his supply was not very excellent. He stated that the flavor and smell of this dipping sauce indicate that it isn't yet completely cooked and that its quality isn't even decent. He informed the guild leader that it is poisonous. Despite being one of the most powerful in the eastern area, he wondered why there was no nice dipping sauce. And the guild master couldn't contain his rage any longer. And he erupted, yelling, "If he has any treasures, don't blame him for sending him out." The old man pulled something from his pocket and remarked, "Whatever, at least I brought my own." He then opened the item he had brought, and a blue glow emanated from it. The guild master was taken aback and perplexed. The guild master was taken aback since this smelled like a 9th grade elixir. "How can it be so rich?" he asked. The old man laughed. "What 9th grade spiritual medicines?" he exclaimed. "That's all the ingredients for my hot pot." The guild master exclaimed in surprise that he was ingesting such 9th grade spiritual medicines. "Disgraceful," he said, telling the old man that they are destroying such a valuable thing. "And may the gods punish him." And he began to drool. The old man assured him that he ate this every day, and there was no condemnation. "Why don't we eat together because your mouth was drooling?" he asked as he combined all of the ingredients in a dish. The guild master agreed, instructing him to stock up on 9th grade spiritual plants. The old man then tossed the dish containing the ingredients and said, "Damn! Do you like hot pot or seasoning?" he inquired. As anticipated with 9th grade spiritual plants, the guild master was astounded, and it's wonderful. The guild master explained to the elderly man that he had been trapped in the pinnacle of martial emperor for hundreds of years and that he had finally broken through due to him. And if there's anything he can do to help him, he'll never say no. Sun Wufeng realized that the expert did not gift him riches this time but rather to test his abilities. He justified it to himself. Fortunately for him, he researched the guild master's past ahead of time simply by performing a performance, and he can now control the martial guild without violence. That is astounding, the fact that Sun Wukong has power over the martial guild without any violence. He recalled Chan telling him to travel down the mountain to talk business with marketplaces and eateries. The martial guild, which has been dealt with, is now the eastern region's #1 trade market. The #1 inn is the next aim. Immortal abode of the intoxicated in the eastern area. He reflected to himself. The old man slammed his hand on the desk, and he told him that he will keep it brief. He'd tell him exactly what he wanted. He then told him that he wanted him to assemble all of the martial guild's specialists to accompany him to the inebriated immortal house. The guild master was perplexed, questioning himself. Why do I feel like I'm being duped? Chan was going around the commercial market, taking in the sights of all the vendors. The merchant specifically instructed the other merchant to come have a look. When he passed, the other one warned him not to miss it. Chan glanced around and observed that this tool trade is fantastic. But after glancing around, they all had unappealing second-rate things, he grumbled to himself. Hearing that, Dezhuang froze in disbelief. He then advised that he go for a stroll and see if he could discover any better stuff. Chan agreed, telling him that was great and that they should simply go around and see if they could find anything decent. While they were strolling about, someone shouted his product's name. Black iron! Black iron for sale. Dezhuang smirked, thinking it was merely a black iron. What exactly is the big deal? Master won't think it's valuable, right? He reflected to himself. Hearing about the black iron, Chan's eyes widened, and he dashed towards the guy selling the black iron, shouting, Here I come! And Dezhuang was speechless, telling himself he was exaggerating. The individual selling the black iron pointed to his black iron and said, People! Today is your lucky day. Do you know what is behind me? He inquired. According to him, this is the black iron that only martial artists use to refine weapons. He stated the villagers were irritated because this black iron cost 100 gold coins. And someone said, You might as well steal it. And another one says to the other, Who knows if it's even real? Only a fool would purchase it, he added. And at that point, Chan yelled loudly, I'll buy it. And everyone was stunned. Chan thought to himself, I didn't expect to see black iron in a regular market. It's better than the first-rate refined iron I saw, he remarked. The seller selling the black iron was pleased that Chan recognized the worth of his black iron and purchased it. Before Chan could hand over the money, someone emerged and said, A group of ants sitting in a well watching the sky, to think they would call such a precious material as black iron is absolutely blasphemy. Against it, he said. This was Shizhong, and the Qiji was behind him. He bumped into Chan, and he said, Don't simply stand there. Move! He stated this with an arrogant smile on his face. And the elderly man Shizhong bought the black iron from the vendor. Chan clenched his teeth in rage, questioning himself and the grade of martial artists. How can they get away with merely looking down at people anytime they want? Yes, martial arts are fantastic. I've had enough, he said angrily. That is correct. In this realm, many martial artists look down on mortals. Dezhuang confronted the man and smacked him on the face and asked, Who do you think you are? Chan was about to pay, so it's first come, first served for him. Do you get it? He said aggressively. Qiji was surprised to be smacked and asked him who he thought he was. He reasoned that as a mid-stage martial sovereign, being slapped by a mortal was just inconceivable. Chan told the old man that stealing from others is not a gentleman's job. And since they couldn't even defeat Dezhuang, Chan concluded that they weren't martial artists at all but nonsense. Shizhong informed Chan that if he could remove this from his hands, it was his. Really? Chan said. Of course, the elderly guy told him. That. He can even pay for it. He didn't see Chan grabbing the black iron when he was saying this. Chan asked him if this was his now. The old man was stunned when he saw this. He then said, It doesn't count. And he told him that he was preoccupied. Should they try it again? Chan asked. Shi Zhong nodded and told him to come collect it, his aura covering his whole body. Chan effortlessly removed the black iron from the elderly guy and inquired if he still had any excuses. He was astounded to learn that this kid had developed a specific method for concealing his cultivation level. And since he regarded him as a mortal, he didn't see his entire power. I misjudged my enemy, he stated as he grinned wickedly. The old man groaned and informed him it was his. Shi Zhong pointed to him and said, he admits his loss, so it's his. He then told Chan that he pretended to be a pick and ate a tiger, so he asked if he didn't think his methods were despicable. The reason he was asking was because he suspected Chan of cheating. Chan shook his head and informed him that although everyone dreams of being a martial artist, they must nevertheless wake up when the time comes. He advised him that it's best to simply be an average guy and quit faking about. When Chan stated it's time to wake up, it made me think of Madara's statement about his speech of wake up to reality. Anyway, the elderly guy was enraged as he yelled, "Boy! You dare to call me a mortal while I am a well-known master on the Shenwu continent. He should refrain from insulting others." Chan laughed. And he told him that he believes he's getting too into the act, that he's initially a mortal, and that he is insulting him? The elderly guy grinned and informed him that he was the one pretending he was immortal. "Let's see who's the mortal," he said. And he struck him with his technique, and he said, "I think you're too into the act." If that's the case, then this old man promised to wake you up. He said Chan was shocked that he leaped that high and wondered whether he was in a staged fight. The power of misunderstanding is simply amazing. A lady with purple hair and whatever lipstick she was wearing smiled to herself, adding it's fun to visit places like this once in a while. The Empress was strolling with a man who informed her that she didn't have to come to a mortal location. The Empress reminded her cousin that a strategist with 100 plans who knows himself and his opponent may be ruthless in every fight. Is it correct, Lian Yi, for forming an army and conquering soldiers in this case? She inquired. Lian Yi shook in terror, telling her that she is clever and he is witted. A villager cheered for someone, and the Empress heard them. And she came to a halt to see who it was. Her eyes widened as she recognized this guy, and she saw Chan forcefully holding Shi Zhong and asking him if he still wanted to fight, as the elderly man yelled out in anguish. The old man was in shock, saying, "Impossible." He told Chan that he had seen via his Shi family's shadow ghost catcher. The villagers applauded him for his abilities, and another villager said that the wandering scammer should have been punished a long time ago. The elderly man continued to tell him that such skills are impossible to do if he is not a martial artist. "Are you still saying you're not a martial artist?" he inquired. "What is your name?" the old man asked. Chan shoved him back, and the old man fell down. However, he was assisted by his grandson, and Chan responded by informing him that his name was Chan Fan. He laughed and added, "Chan of old wine. The Fan of ordinary," he said. Chinese names have different meanings. Shi Zhong was taken aback by such a basic name, but he recognized that it had the taste of returning to simplicity. He realized it was his fault for being blind and misinterpreting the expert, and he began to bow repeatedly while smashing his head on the ground. Chan was stunned and perplexed as he pondered if he was attempting to shatter his skull, but after a split second, the old man stopped bowing repeatedly, and he told him that he was foolish for not appreciating his greatness. "I have insulted an expert and dare not to seek for forgiveness, but I beg the expert to spare my family. I'm prepared to do everything to sacrifice my own life to apologize." According to Shi Zhong, and his grandson Chan is staring at him with a sinister expression. And Chan told him that if he couldn't beat him, he called him an expert, and he then asked if he was still saying he is a martial artist. The old man answered, saying no, and that he would no longer pretend to be a martial artist, and that he had made a mistake, and he begged him to forgive him. After hearing it, everyone became quiet. The old man was stunned when Chan slapped him. Chan then informed him that he didn't believe he had completely realized. "What am I?" Chan inquired. The old man grew enraged and swore. A flaming aura engulfed his body, and he yelled that he would rather die than be humiliated like this. He informed Chan that it didn't matter what type of expert he was. But before he could say anything further, he paused. He stared at his palm, perplexed, and was astounded that Chan fractured his meridians with a smack, yet he didn't feel any pain. He cried as the old man thought to himself that he didn't anticipate a master weapon refiner himself, who was at the top of martial emperor stage, to end up in such a scenario where he couldn't live or die. "Who am I?" Chan inquired once. Again. The old man responded by telling him he's a secluded expert. Chan smacked him across the face. The meridian in his organs has been severely shattered this time. In anguish, the elderly man clenched his chest and begged God to strike him with lightning, saying, "I don't want to be a plaything to this man any longer." He stated the elderly guy saw him through his own eyes and saw Chan smiling cruelly and asking him the same question, "Who am I?" The old man told him that he is Chan of Old Wine, the fan of the ordinary. "Why are you so stupid?" Chan asked. He emphasized that he was inquiring if he was a regular person or a martial artist. The old man responded that he was an ordinary person after saying that he closed his eyes as he thought Chan would slap him again, but he didn't as he patted his shoulder, and the old man was surprised at that. And Chan told him that he is an ordinary person. Chan said with a bright smile. "That's right, I'm an ordinary person. You who were beaten by an average person and yet claim to be a martial artist?" The old man started to give up and assumed it was all over. "The expert just wants to have fun," he said, and he told himself that whatever happened, as long as they cooperated, he'd be okay. He sobbed quietly and stated, "Since I can't beat an ordinary person, I can't be a martial artist, so I'm an ordinary person," he lamented. "Poor old man, I feel bad for him. Let's hope Chan can cheer him up." Chan began to heal him as he informed the old man that he had finally gotten it. The old man eventually understood, adding that as long as you change to be a better person from now on, it doesn't matter if you can't be a martial artist. While healing the old man, he was astounded to discover that he was progressing from Martial Peak First Stage to Martial Emperor Peak. He couldn't believe that he had been cured and that his fractured meridians had been totally repaired. It was also surprising that he had broken through. Chan walked away, telling him that because he had the black iron, he would go first and that they were not pretending to be martial artists to deceive others. The elderly man grinned, and he said to himself as one would expect from an expert, "Even if you offered me advice, you still wouldn't want to reveal your identity," he reasoned. The old man reasoned to himself, "If I can follow the expert, I'll be able to break through even more." The old man then thanked Chan for demonstrating to him that the Sher family was on the right path, and they intended to follow him through hardships. He said Chan then thought about how the Shinwu continent seems to have a serious mental health issue. Before was Drunken Zhang, who is a defined martial artist who is instead now being his worker. He kept thinking about how the Sher family is plainly regular people yet claims to be martial artists. They were stunned when Chan showed them 3 fingers. Chan went on to say that he needed 3 more pairs of hands. "Old man, can you come with me and have a look? If you think it's suitable, then you can help me do it," he urged. Chan's genuine aim was to bring those 2 mentally ill people in order for him to do study on them so that he could better his medical abilities. The old man thanked Mr. Chan, unaware that Chan had misunderstood and assumed they were mentally sick. De Zhuang inquired of the elderly guy, "Do you understand? You'll need to be quick-witted if you want to work with Chan. Also, don't consider yourself, or the martial artist. If you disobey the rules, don't blame me for abandoning you," he added. The elderly guy said, "I understand." Chan couldn't hear what they were saying since he was busy whistling to himself. The Empress stood there, stunned, and her cousin asked her what was wrong. The Empress was shaking in as she responded, "Did you see it? Chan's way of employing people is seen as the Union's way of governing the country." With a smile, she said, She assumed that Chan wanted everyone to submit to him and succeed, or else they would die. "Find you," said Qin Potion. "Stop what you're doing, and stop being so self-absorbed. You're extremely brave to assume you're stalking the expert. Don't make me exhausted by bringing you to the mountain unless you're seeking for them." The person next to Qin Potion was taken aback. The Empress smiled and wondered how shallow he could be to be unaware that she was following Chan for his development. She stated that since he feigned not to know, he permitted me to observe from the side. Qin Potion shook his head, puzzled, and muttered, "So that's the case." But he didn't believe it totally since he wondered whether Chan actually thought that way. The Empress sent her cousin to go and explore what might be honed with the spiritual iron. Her cousin was so absorbed on Qin Potion that he didn't realize he said "Alright, your sister," rather than "Okay, your majesty." Qin Potion clenched his teeth in wrath and swore, wondering whether any of them would have a simple life if she was in control. He questioned himself. Qin Potion frowned, adding, "I have to urge Xiaowu to do what she has to do," as he thought to himself that they couldn't allow her to take the lead. Meanwhile, Chan was busy with that black iron. He was ecstatic because he couldn't wait to see what type of weapon it might become. Shi Qiji was taken aback and questioned his uncle whether he was seeing things properly. "That seems to be." Before he could complete his thoughts, the old man cut him off, saying no, and he was seeing correctly. The young man added, "It's got iron." He told his uncle that he had broken through. He murmured in awe as golden chi emanating from the black iron encircled his body. And it did the same to the old man, as the old man said his body felt warm, and the expert had restored his physique. And they both smiled brightly and said, "Let's break through together." Chan just glanced at them and thought to himself, "Those two are seriously mentally ill." Xiaowu entered and informed Chan that she had brought some pineapples. "Do you want to take a break?" she inquired. And he glanced at her and said, "Sure." And he thanked her. He then returned his gaze to the old man. "Everyone must be tired, so let's have a snack," he stated. And Xiaowu was surprised to see the black iron, and she recognized it as the hairpin. And she smiled as she looked at the black iron, wondering whether Chan was going to offer it to her. And the black iron was gleaming, demonstrating how magnificent it is. That's all for now.